here's my check from 10:15. You know, of course, I worked, whereas Eduardo Alvarez did not work. And so, so what you see is the fact that the second time I went through, I want to say what happened was, it was actually a black guy who was supposed to be Eduardo Alvarez. And the second time they made it be a Hispanic guy who is Eduardo Alvarez. I take that back. The first time he was Hispanic, the second time he was black. Right? Yeah. So I even said, I was like, what's your name? He said Eduardo. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, dang, you black? You know, I was like, I ain't trying to be funny, but you know, I saw that check and I didn't think you were black. You know, so that's just how I said it. And the Hispanic guy, he didn't have no paper. He didn't have a paper on him, but I questioned whether or not he was actually locked up. And he had a piece of paper he pulled out, and it showed that he had only been locked up for 3 days. So this is the moment where, you know, everything is for Babylon and the spiritual matrix is going haywire. And so, like I said, that second time it was a Hispanic guy, and he had a the second time was a black guy, and he had a piece of paper on him, and he actually had it in his hand when he walked in that time. And so, of course, it was set off a whole extra week because the second time I went through, I had a week extension. So it didn't actually happen on the same day as it happened the first time, because the first time, you know, it was the 20th that was it. Mercedes and Ashanti both arrived on the 20th and knocked on my door together. And Ashanti was at the airport when Mercedes got off the plane, and she said, "Is that Ashanti?" And so that's how. And so Mercedes, you know, Ashanti had a rental car. I believe it was a black SUV, and so she drove herself with the rental car that she had, and she followed Mercedes, and they kind of rode side by side. And so Mercedes wanted to, you know, she stopped at the red light the way I had written it the first time. She stopped at the red light and she put her playlist on. And she even was trying to make sure that Pam said, you know, what I said Pam would say when she called, which was not, you know, it was not actually, didn't have to be exactly, you know, it's not like that. You know, the power of the eternal word, it ain't like that. You know, just the simple fact that you can think, okay, I wanted to go this exactly like this, and you know, it doesn't have to. It's not, you know, that's not. It's not necessary, and you know it's not, because you actually, you know, are even thinking whether or not you want to do it exactly like how I said, you know. So it's not, that part's not necessary. And that's the thing that, you know, the first time I didn't actually write for Ashanti. to come. I mean, you could say it was written elsewhere, but the whole thing that Ashanti would be there when Mercedes got off the plane, that wasn't even that was not part of what I had even written for Mercedes. And so the second time what happened was I decided I was going to write for Ashanti to go ahead and come. I was like, well, that was so symbolic, or it was so significant in that in Genesis, Lot, two angels knocked on Lot's door, or two angels came to Lot's door, and they rescued Lot. And so I said, well, I might just go ahead and write it that way, so just to make sure. And I said, no, you know what, I'm not going to, I didn't write it the first time, so why do that? It doesn't really, it ain't broke, don't fix it, and she came without me writing the first time, so why wouldn't that happen the second time? Or it would just be, regardless of if it's a different way or not, it's not going to change the divinity of what was going to take place. So I didn't, and Ashanti did still come. So it pretty much happened the same way. The difference was that I didn't write for Mercedes to, stop at the red light, and I didn't write exactly what the delivery driver was going to say. So it's pretty much kind of how I wrote it this time. That when I wrote, and I forgot that I even had the extension where I was going to do what would Jesus do, and see if some more people were going to tip within that week, amongst other things. And so I went ahead and wrote that again, and of course the second time I pretty much kind of did that the same way, where I wrote twice for Mercedes to come, but I didn't delete that or take that post down because it's not necessary to do so. So why do that? And then that makes it seem like there was some kind of mistake. Well, there was no mistake made, And so I made a brand new post and wrote for Mercedes to come this time, and that's I did it, the same way. And so this is what I'm saying is that the second time, okay, this time what happened different was the fact that I posted and said that. See, I knew that the guy was going to come pick up his check the second time through, but I didn't actually post and say that he was going to come and that he was going to pretend like he was in jail, because I didn't know that until after the first time, and then the second time, I want to say, okay, I did the second time. I did post and say that he was gonna fake like he was in jail and he was gonna come, but I said that he was gonna be Hispanic. So what they did was they made it be somebody black. So they were trying to discredit what I said and still at the same time have the guy come pick up his check and make it look like he was just in jail. So it was just basically, so I guess to try to trick me into not thinking I know what I'm talking about, because Babylon doesn't know that I know for a fact that I this is my second time doing this. They hear what I'm saying, but Babylon wasn't there. The beast wasn't there, so they're hoping that it's not true, and then they're riding on that fact, and then so that's why they send a black guy to be Eduardo Alvarez. And he says a little, about how he was raised, and by Hispanic or whatever, and he's part Hispanic, and that's why his name is Eduardo Alvarez. And so he picks it up, and he has that, But I even posted that, and they still did that. But what they did, they changed was they had a piece of paper, and they had forged it, or they printed it out at Dallas County, and it said that he had been locked up for over 30 the day before his check was to arrive. So it's like over a month that he had been locked up, when in actuality he had only been locked up on one night, and it had they had let him out, basically. You could say he was bonded out, but they let him out with a piece of paper from them that is legitimately from the county, that they actually printed off just for the purpose of deceiving me. And but that's the thing. This time I've actually been saying that I walked through like this whole for about a month. I keep saying, and I actually said that, about the football game, which that's not, I actually did that the same way about the Cowboys game. That didn't change, in the weather. But this time I said that it actually happened twice, and so this was going to be the third time that he was going to. So me saying that was different, and the second time than me saying that it had already happened once before. Now I'm saying it's happened twice, and he picked up his check. So when I posted that was different than what I posted the second time, because I didn't say it had happened twice. I was saying that it only had happened once, and I knew that it was going to happen. So what they did now was like, man, he's saying that it's already happened twice. So they're not even, Babylon's not even doubting. And their best thing they felt like they was going to do was just say, you know what, but they had already told old boy to go to jail, and I think he had went to jail, but when he got out, he said the same thing he did last time. It was like, man, he already posted and said that I was going to go pick up the check. The second time he was like, man, I'm not doing that, that don't make sense. And then Babylon tells him, no, you got to go do it. It's just the same way. It's basically the same thing they told him when he was in his apartment. He was like, go pick up my check, and this is the black guy. He was like, that's not even me. Or I think he didn't even know that he wasn't Eduardo. Like, I mean, it was just, it was some weird, Babylon Matrix shit. And he just was like, I'm not doing that. God's up there. And then, Babylon's like, no, you got to. The beast was like, no, you gonna go up there and get that check, And, so he didn't have any choice. And, that's the word regulation. He didn't have regulation over his thoughts of what he's going to do or doesn't do. So, he goes ahead and they had the police officer set up to exactly how he's going to arrest him and for why. It's just going to be some bullshit. And so what happens is this. He didn't come pick up his check at all, like he did, like what happened the first two times. And it was supposed to happen Monday. He was supposed to pick that check up, and it didn't happen. And they know that Monday was the last day that I worked, because I said that he was going to pick it up Sunday or Monday. And so they're probably, assuming, okay, well, that was the last day he was going to work. Sunday, I fell asleep, and or I was rising. I was in the car, and she was like, "Oh, I logged you out. You can go home." Of course, I was trying to go home anyway, or to the hotel. And so that happened the exact same way as it did the second time. Exact same way, and I went. I was in the car listening to music, and I went in the store. She was like, "Oh, I already logged you out." Exact same way. So the very next day, that was the day that he was going to pick up his check, which was Monday. Which was yesterday. And he didn't do it. So what happens is I go in there to see to go look at the checks to see if he picked up his check, you could say. And he still hadn't picked it up. And then there's 2 extra checks there that have his name on it that are from the 15th, which is the last time that Domino's got paid. So the checks don't even come in again until Friday. And so there's no reason why these 2 new checks should even be there today. But they're there. And also there's one for Sinead Hudson, who only works, I've seen like once a week. And it's her check from the 15th. But she should have already gotten her check from the 15th. She was just at work the other day. So he has 2 checks for the same pay period. And he hasn't even been working since at least before that check he didn't pick up almost a month and a half ago. He has not been there to even work, to have 2 brand new checks from the 15th that are not in there until today, that are brand new. So what that is basically just the simple fact that you can say what it symbolizes is that the truth of the matter is that's the 3rd time that this man was supposed to come pick up his check. So there's 3 checks there. And since the motherfuckers wanted to take what I said, and do something differently, since, I posted that and they did something differently, just like they did the second time he came to pick up his check, but this time they said, okay, he's just not going to go pick up his check. Guess what? Now you motherfuckers, you get shitted on because he got 2 checks there. And the motherfucker ain't picking up all 3 of them. And that's the 3rd time that man was going to come pick up his check. Babylon Hive Mind, you pieces of shit.